Again, I'm coming from the Martin Luther King room in my studio, and as you see, Dr. King's picture and everything right behind. I guess, you know, I want to touch on a little bit about racism all through the world, and I'm looking at a paper where they talk about the pallbearers in Peru, in Lima, Peru, and they said that they only hire black pallbearers. In fact, Peru's got its first black minister, you know, and it's just something, you know. I guess when you look at this thing called racism, and they bring it back to the colonial age and everything like that, and a lot of people that come to the United States and stuff, we really don't know what they come through, you know, what they came through. And it's a racism thing. It's such a big thing all over the world that most minorities that come to the United States don't talk about it. They almost act as though that they have to face it. I guess that for so long they didn't have the great civil rights journey that we had here in the United States. So a lot of it is just that's just how it is, you know. And it's just a shame that we losing such great character to racism, because people are not able to express themselves. They can express themselves in God, but still they feel lost because they're not this color, that color. And this thing has been going on for hundreds of years. But I'll say this right here, is that I think that one thing we need to do, we need to talk about it, and we need to discuss it. We need to work on it. I don't think hiding and running from it is the key, because again, as I'm reading about Peru, they said that the only pallbearers they hire is black pallbearers, and I don't want them to rush to judgment and say, okay, don't hire no black pallbearers no more, and then what are they going to do? Because a job is a job. I think that one of the problems that we had in the journey of the United States is that I remember my father used to shine shoes, and that was a black man's job. And after integration, a lot of black men their families put down shining shoes or doing labor, character building jobs as fix cars and build things and stuff. So now we have a system where now kids don't want to do anything, they don't want to build anything. A lot of people men don't know how to change car tires, and we just got away from so many things, you know. Because of really racism, we associated our job with racism. We associated shining shoes with racism because that was the only job that we could get. But that's not a racist job. It's just that's the only job we can get. And in a way, I guess it was a racist job, but it's not. It is a job. And so people making money shining shoes and building shoes and sewing and stuff like that. But I guess what I want to touch on, and I'm going to keep touching on it for the rest of this year, from September on, is that racism all over the world. A lot of countries have not developed, they're not grown out of racism, and mainly a lot of Latin countries haven't. You know, when you see the presence of their countries and their government, you don't see people that's my color, but they're there. They call them Afro, and I guess this Afro thing follows people of color all over the world, even to Cuba. And I've heard a lot of black leaders talk about the liberation of Cuba, but there's a black Cuban and what we perceive as a white Cuban. But when they come here, they're not considered white, they're considered minority, and it's kind of off balance. And I remember when I done a tour around the world in '86 and '87, before I bought my first house and thought I was going to settle down and get married. I remember when I would go around the world, the people I stayed with was mainly my color. You know, a lot of other people were, the lighter skins were standoffish. They dealt with you, but they were very standoffish. And the people that I felt most comfortable with was people that kind of looked like me. And it was just, you know, a strange tour as I went through Latin America and things of that nature and stuff, you know, and even through the islands and stuff. And I don't want to pick on no country or whatever, but just to say that we're going to have to do a better job about this, because, you know, the fear that I have about racism, more so than you're too light, I'm too dark, or whatever. The thing that bothers me a lot about it is that the character that it builds. And I remember, you know, being, I guess, a brown-skinned child, and I hear people saying that now. And I remember my mother really working hard on my character. And, you know, that was a big thing, you know, working on my character, keeping my character up. And I didn't fall prey to a lot of things. And, you know, even in my own history, I had to leave a lot of people that was black, a lot of women I dated that was black that I really enjoyed or whatever. I would have loved them to death, but I found a character, and that character wasn't because of Jesus. They loved Jesus, but I often wonder how much did they love themselves. So this racist thing is very big, and I think that we're going to have to deal with this right here. Now, I only hope that that we come out of this denial of not talking about it and not learning about it and things of that nature and studying it. I think that we do, because as I'm looking at Peru, Lima, Peru, and if I saw any of these men here that come to this country, they really wouldn't identify with being black. And they definitely wouldn't identify with African American. And they would paint a picture that it was a heavenly, that they don't, that in their country that they don't go through racism and things of that nature. And I guess in a way they don't, because it's not even an issue. It's just this is what you go through, you know. And I thought about that right there, because I remember being a young lad, and my mother gave me a book of the Negro world, and I read all about these different places. So I'm not far from the pain that a lot of these people from around the world of color suffer. So let's try to do a better job, and let's try to heal. I think that there's a job for this right here, and you know, that we need to heal from this racist thing. And the only way to heal is we got to understand that there's a problem, and we have to talk about it. And people that come from other nations, you have to talk about it. You know, I was in a store not too long ago, and a young lady was of Asian origin, and she was a slave. I had no idea she was a slave. And I'm buying food out the restaurant. Now, I had no idea she was a slave, but had she spoke up, you know what I mean, liberation would have been right then and there. But we, you know, minorities, people of color have to start talking about issues, because if you don't talk about it, no one knows. All right, well, that was just my touch on that right there, and God bless.